Hello everyone. If you want to go to my free course, type henry-ward.co.uk into Google, then go to Henry Ward Trading, and then this here is my free course. Click on Start Today. If you want to go on to the webinars that I do every Sunday and every Wednesday, click on Trading Academy and then click on Start Today. So this is the Trading Academy. This is the full training, the webinars, direct access to me, everything that you want. Hello everyone. How are you? Today we are going to go through the indices and what's after happening in the market since we last looked. So the Nasdaq, the last time we had a little look at this, we talked about the Nasdaq, we talked about a double bottom. Now again, it wasn't something that I would have taken, and I didn't take this, but we did talk about on the Sunday webinar about this particular trade being a double bottom here and taking this trade. Now we could have done a limit order here, limit order of that level and a stop loss below it, but for me it would have been very aggressive to actually take that trade. So what we did do is we put an entry above the bar and looked for this sort of rejection. Now the stop loss had to be below that low, and what happened is we got triggered in on the next day. We had another buying day, and then we had the red day, and we're like, oh sugar, it's gonna come down and trigger us out. And then we had this massive spike to the upside, and we had a really nice movement to the upside, and then it sort of broke this double top. So with double top, it's come back down and hit this floor. So we wanted it to come down, hit this floor, and then take off. Now we have seen that on the smaller time frame. So see this red bar here? That is a 4-hour pullback, and we've seen it there. It's come back, hit that floor. Now, is it the best pullback in the world? No, it's not. No, it's not. It's a pretty big bar there. It didn't come back down nicely. The bar went up, came down, touched it, and then went back up. So there is a potential long there at that particular point. Long above that green bar right there, and a stop loss below it. Now also the problem with this is that we're trading off the futures market. So this is not the real market because the market hasn't opened yet. So we're trading off the futures market. Now I'm going to put in a 1-to-1 here, which is just there. So there's a 1-to-1. So we have entry here, it's just about on the entry point, and then our stop losses here. And if that continues going, then that's absolutely brilliant. That's exactly where we wanted to go. And if we look at the daily charts here, the next resistance level looks like it's about here, doesn't it? Across here looks like the next resistance level, and it looks like we have loads of room before it hits that. Now the problem with this is that is this market bullish or bearish? And the actual proper answer to that is we have no idea. Now there are some massive signs to show that this is heading up. Now, and I'm gonna run through these signs that are telling us that this is potentially going up. Now we have one here, which is the floor, and we have another one here, which is that. So that is classed as a double bottom. Now people may ask Henry, well, why is that a double bottom? It's actually a lower low. Well, why it's classed as a double bottom is because see this wick here. See that wick? That wick there is not classed as the bottom. A wick is classed as this movement that the price went down and then it went back up. So generally these flows are using the body of the candle. So there's the body and there's the body. They're at that same level. So this level here would actually be classed as rejected twice, even though the price went down here below and then come back up. And the same with this one, even though the price came down below and then went back up, that'll be classed as a bounce twice. And then we actually have sort of the neckline here. Now anyone who has done any pattern recognition with me, you will see this quite instantly when I draw it out for you guys, that this here I'm going to change that to blue, make it nice and stand out for you. What letter is this? That's a W letter, isn't it? And that's a very powerful pattern. Now this is generally a double bottom one, so we get a W. If it's double top, it's an M. Okay, so the double top goes up, hits there, comes back down, and then comes back up, and then goes again. And that's the M. So that's a double top. This one's a double bottom. So it's hit there and now change direction. So that's what we have there. And then this could be the sort of the neckline, the top of it, but it's also broke. So you'd expect that to come back and retest here. And when it retests, we'd expect that to go back up. Now we get two types of retests. We get the smaller time frame. In this scenario is the 4 hour, and it generally goes up. And then we get a pullback on the daily, and then the daily generally goes. So that's what we have here. So there is a huge reversal pattern changing here. So this whole thing looks like it's changing and it's now popping to the upside a little bit. Now to what end? We have no idea. We have no idea whether it's going to go up into this area. We have no whether it's going to hit this blue line, whether it's going to come up to this one. But what we're looking for is key areas to tell us that this is a good trade. Okay, so this is what we're seeing at this present moment. We're seeing this momentum to the upside. We're seeing movement to the upside, and it looks like we have a bullish market at the present moment. So this is really, really good. Now, remember the picture here on the Nasdaq? Let's have a look at the Dow. It's a completely different picture, isn't it? So go back to the Nasdaq. We have this double bottom, we have the sideways movement, it slowly broke out of there. And if we look at the Dow Jones, we now have the double bottom that was down here. We have bullish momentum with a phase 2 and then bullish momentum again. Anyone that took this trade here, well done. Really nice 1.3 to 1 winner. If you had let it run, would have went on and had probably a 2 to 1 there on that. But the problem is that we had this big trend line coming down here. We had this weekly trend line which would have stopped us potentially jumping in this trade. Look, bounce, 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 and then bounce there again. But again, the market was bullish. It was heading upwards. And again, we have broken that level. We've broken that area. So we are coming back into this level here. And it's had a pretty big movement. It's had a huge movement to the upside. So the question is when it hits that level there, is it now going to drop or is it going to continue going? That's something we need to have a look at. We need to continue with that. We need to keep making sure that the trades that we're taking meet our criteria and does exactly what it should be doing. And if we look at the S&P, so the S&P is very similar. It's very similar. So if you look at here, we had a phase 1, a phase 2, and a phase 1 again. So the S&P has done exactly what it should be doing as well. So we have this heading to the upwards. So we have this heading in an upward direction. So we have the double bottom there again, similar to what we had on the likes of the Nasdaq. But what has happened since, we've had higher low, a higher low. That's a high, higher high, and then a higher high. So we've had this upward momentum. We've had this upward momentum going. We've had more buyers than sellers in this market. It's telling us that the market is going up. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for this to continue going up. Now, the difference in this one and the likes of the Nasdaq is this level here. We haven't moved away from this level enough. Okay, so we're touched that one there. And that's the only sort of touch we have on that, is that little touch right there. So we haven't sort of moved away from this. So we might get a pullback sort of into this area. So if I move this one here up to about there, if we're getting a pullback on this, we might get a pullback into that area there. And if it pulls back in this area, then we're looking for this to pop to the upside. Okay, so even though we've had a little, it's sitting on this level, and if we go down to the 4 hour, we've had this sort of sideways movement. So we don't have a trade setting up there at the moment. We don't have anything setting up. It's pretty moving sideways. So there's no trade here, whereas the Nasdaq, there is a trade, and this particular one there's not. If we go on over to the German DAX, look, the German DAX has just gone on from strength to strength. It's absolutely motoring on at the moment, with the good news on the likes of Ukraine, with the inflation's rates not really changing, so on and so forth. There's a little bit of good news in Europe, so we have smashed through that level there, and I want that to come back. So see this area, that's sort of the next area of resistance for me, and I'd expect that to go up to there. But ideally, I would want this to bounce back into this area and then have a next run at that. I'd like that to come back to there and then have another run at this, and then go up to there. That's where I'd like to see that happening. That's what I would like to see. I'd like to see this come back down to there and then go again. Now it may even come back down to this floor here, but that's the most recent high, and that's probably where we're going to get that rejection from. But that is a pretty decent level right there. Bounce there once, bounce there twice. So we do have a pretty decent level there on the likes of the German DAX. CAC, again, I sort of stay away from the CAC. We are getting back to that purple level there. Where's that come from? So 1 touch, 2 touches, 3 touches. So we are touching that as well. So, but again, we are massively overextended on the German DAX and the French CAC. So we are expecting some sort of phase 2. So am I looking to get in either of those at the minute? Absolutely not. I need a phase 2. And if you look at this, we've had 2. Well, I say we've had 2. We haven't. We've had 1 high test bar, and then this bar so far, it's halfway through the day, and we have another high test. So this is a pretty good indication that this market has slowed down. Yes, we had the same indication here, but it took off. But the wicks at the top are telling us that there's a potential more sellers in this now, and I'd expect it to come back. UK 100. So the UK 100 has 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just sitting there at the minute. Hasn't really gone anywhere. And for me, it's not. I need a phase 2. So ideally, I'd like this to come back into this area here, and that's where I'd like to see this pull back to. If I've done that, I'll be looking for this now to. I'll look for this to have now a pop to the upside. That's exactly what we're looking for. China 50, again, we're coming back up here. We need to either get to here or here. We have the loosening of the COVID restrictions in the likes of China and Asia. So that's probably given a little more buying power, a little more bullishness to the Chinese market, and we're seeing that now in there. Aussie 200. So the Aussie 200 has gone up and has probably had the best rejection across these indices at the moment. So we found at level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches, and it's now sitting on that floor right there. Now the question is that the pullback that we're looking for, or is it going to pop up and then have a proper pullback? And that's the question you sort of have to ask yourself. Long position. Obviously, this bar is not finished yet, so that's not a true indication. This bar, we have to wait for this bar to finish before it'll be up. But that's what it looks like there. And I'm gonna pop that up to a 3-to-1. It's a 3.3, so bring it down a fraction more. 3-to-1 right there. And that's what we're looking at that point. And last but not least, Japan 225. Again, we've had 3 bars coming down, so I would like to see that pop down. probably into sort of this area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches. So I'd like to see that come down to that top level, and if it comes down to that top level, you would expect some sort of rejection at that point. So phase 1, phase 2, and then pop to the upside. Look, everyone, thank you very much. If you want to come in on my courses, if you want to jump in on any of the stuff I do, just follow the link in the bio there and you can take my free course. Thank you very much, everyone, and hope you all have a lovely evening. Bye bye.